Good afternoon and welcome to the regular board meeting of the Sunshine Coast Regional District. It is Thursday, May 26th, 2022, and it is 2:10 p.m. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the territory of the Seashell Nation. And we have an amended agenda in front of us. Do all the directors have the amended agenda? Yes, thank you. I'd look for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. And I'd look for a motion to receive all the minutes, reports, and communications. Moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. So first up, we have the regular board meeting minutes of May 12th, 2022, and they're before us for adoption. Are there any errors or omissions in these minutes? Seeing no errors or omissions, I'd look for a motion to adopt as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Then we will move on to our delegation. We have a delegation before us today from Wood Fibre LNG regarding the project update on the Wood Fibre LNG facility. And I had Julia down. Is it going to be you, Laura, now presenting? I can't hear you. It's cutting in and out, Julia, so there's something not working there.
This is Christine. We're all having some real audio difficulties here. So yes, please. I believe that Laura will share screen and either Julia or I, based on our audio, will present.
All right. Well, welcome. Let's see what happens.
Okay, we greatly appreciate your patience with us technologically. For some reason, my computer decided to update just as I was attempting to join today, so I apologize for that. We're here today for information, and we appreciate your time, and we wanted to just make sure to give the communities and regional districts across the area an update on the status of our project, where we are in the pace of planning and construction, and make sure that that we're available and accessible to you to answer questions and all of that, and that you're welcome to reach out to us outside an update like this, because I know we've got relatively limited time. So quick agenda today on the screen, just to talk a little bit about where we are in our environmental and greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, our work with Indigenous governments, some of the work around jobs, workforce development for the project, relationship with various other government, levels of government, our project updates and what's going on across the course of this year, upcoming community engagements, and then any quick discussions and Q&A. I know our time is limited, so we'll just keep moving it along. So our company has, across its global operations, a commitment that it takes everywhere we do work, that our projects and our work has to be beneficial to the community that we're based in, the country, the region overall. We want to make sure that we're doing our best for the climate. Our projects have to benefit and meet the needs of our customers, both in Canada and around the world. And only then do we consider that projects benefit the company. This is a significant investment that will have an operating and employment horizon of 40 years and generate significant socioeconomic benefits for the region, and of course reconciliation with Indigenous communities, while contributing to the need for global energy security and transition from higher emitting fuel sources to lower emission sources and eventually to renewables. course, also for, I'm most directly in the community where we're based in Squamish and the immediate surrounding area, commitment to community donations programs, sponsorships, and other partnerships. Laura, if it's you advancing, that's great, thank you. So, we are proud to be the very first company in Canada to have an Indigenous government as an environmental regulator outside of a treaty. We are the second e-drive or hydroelectric powered facility in North America. And we will be the lowest emissions facility in the world. But that doesn't mean that that's where we stop. We are working on how we can further decarbonize every step of our project with a view to getting towards net zero. So this is important to us. We know it's important to the communities we work and live in, and it's important to our customers as well. So definitely something we're working on pretty vigorously here. Partnerships with Indigenous people. We've got a very close relationship with the Squamish Nation, who are one of our environmental regulators and work with us on a ongoing basis, both on environmental issues and project planning. We've got impact benefit agreement with the Squamish that provides various provisions, including employment and training, and procurement opportunities throughout the life of the project, but particularly for the procurement ones during the pre-construction and construction phase. There is an equity option for the Squamish Nation in their impact benefit agreement with us, and we've got an implementation committee and a number of working groups that meet regularly to make sure that the provisions of that IBA are met. Project will have up to 700 jobs during peak construction, and then 100 operations job over a 40-year operating horizon of the facility. For those, for both categories of jobs, but during construction, particularly, we'll be focusing on workforce from the Squamish local area, from the Squamish Nation, from BC and from across Canada, including women and Black, Indigenous people of color, all as a priority of our hiring. And then those same provisions Squamish Nation, local area, and BC will also be the priority in terms of hiring for and training for the long-term operational jobs. We've got a workforce development plan that's in progress that identifies the specific requirements, the trades involved or craft, and includes strategies for how we will maximize local labor, have a safe and respectful workplace, and make sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion are always a consideration of our operations. Of course, we have strong and ongoing relationships with the government of BC and a dedicated team inside the Ministry of Energy to facilitate and help us with the various needs of a project like ours in a one-stop office. We have ongoing discussions with the Government of Canada about how Canada is going to be supporting global energy security within the scope and interest of the ministerial mandate letters and Canada's commitment to climate plans. We have ongoing discussions with the District of Squamish and, of course, close work and with them on regulatory and permitting, a variety of environmental management plans, our workforce plans, and community engagement generally and supply chain development, in a process of engaging with other municipalities and having these outreach sessions to make sure that as many of the governments across the region are aware of our work status and know who we are and are like able to ask us questions when you wish to. And of course, like positive working relationships with First Nations and advancement of those impact benefit agreement provisions. So project status notice to proceed was issued in April to our prime engineering, procurement, fabrication, and construction contractor, McDermott International. $500 million was approved in the budget for this year, with a focus on like local contracting where feasible in work, pre-construction work, like design, engineering, project planning for next year's major construction. Site remediation, this year, like significant amount of work underway there, over $12 million spent to date on that. Our IBA with the Squamish Nation is like underway and proceeding, and active procurements in the process of that. We've got an IBA with the Tsleil-Waututh Nation that's in progress and nearing completion, I would say. And our environmental and socioeconomic management plans are all in development. And as I mentioned briefly on a previous slide, we do have our net zero pathway also in development. So for this year, pre-construction works that are either getting underway or will be underway in the near future, site remediation and refurbishment that includes the removal of like some old concrete slabs that were part of the former Western Forest Products pulp mill that was on that site for many, many years. There will be a closure of the previous Western Forest Products like landfill there that caps that landfill to improve water quality and manage environmental performance. And then very soon we'll be in the process of replacing a passenger dock on site to ensure that like there's safe access in all weather conditions for employees and contractors on the site. Information sharing. So one of our big priorities is developing stakeholder and community-driven approaches to minimize the project's impact on community services while maximizing the benefits that we provide for small and medium-sized businesses in the community. So like how can a project of our size make sure that we don't inordinately impact traffic or unlike local residents' access to the community services that they rely on, while making sure that we're doing as much as possible to procure locally and provide benefits to the community. In Squamish and the immediate surrounding area, we've got our community donations and sponsorship program that's up and operating to provide contributions to not-for-profit charity groups. The call for proposals on that is currently open. And we're getting into the process where we will be doing a great deal of community engagement around our operational plans for things like workforce accommodations, management plans, and the supply chain development opportunities for local businesses. So that's our quick summary today. I didn't time myself, but I hope that I went quickly enough to leave you all some time for questions. And thank you again for accommodating us and for doing so around our IT challenges today.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the presentation. Directors, any questions or comments? Director Beamish.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. I'm with the town of Gibsons. Just interested in one or two things. One of the community amenities contributions and how you see the wood fiber will contribute to the sustainability of the biosphere for Howe Sound Biosphere region.
I'm sorry, I missed part of your question with our audio issue here. You said something about sustainability and biosphere.
Yeah, how will you contribute to the sustainability of the Howe Sound Biosphere region?
Julia, do you want to take that question?
I'm having some microphone issues. Christian, pass this to you.
Hi, good afternoon. Yes, we actually congratulate. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you for the question, and thank you for letting us speak in your in this group. Yeah, we actually congratulate everybody involved in obtaining this notation on UNESCO Biosphere Reserve Program. So we completely support what is sustainable development. So we're working on being able to develop a economic growth for the community and also doing it in a sustainable manner. So we do not want to create an industrial facility that does not follow those principles. So that's how we collaborate. And through our environmental assessment program, which identifies all the different conditions that we have to follow and comply with to ensure that we don't have a detrimental effect on the environment, so that the environment in which this biosphere is selected is protected. I hope that answered your question.
It does, but are you also doing any financial support or support for the biosphere development and program?
We've not had the opportunity to consider that at this point. If someone wants to put a proposal forward to the company, we would certainly take a look at that. There hasn't been any request of that type so far.
Thank you.
Director Hiltz.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, thanks for the presentation. And the focus for your project is the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District and the District of Squamish. So my question is, do you foresee where resources on the Sunshine Coast will be used during the construction phase? I'm thinking of the Port Mellon industrial sites, the hillside, water taxis, workplace or worker housing, this type of thing on this side of the sound. Thanks.
All of those things will be part of a bigger construction plan as that develops over the coming months. Our major EFPC contractor, McDermott International, that I mentioned, is in the process now of doing some of the big procurements for the construction provider and stuff like that. So some of those details will become more clear in the months ahead, and we're happy to present again and potentially with the construction provider when that's decided. What I would say is that certainly the priority on local hiring and local opportunities extend to the whole region. We know for a project of this size, no industrial project is going to be able to supply their workforce needs exclusively from the community of Squamish, or in the case of LNG Canada, exclusively from their region either. So I would expect that definitely local hiring will reach into this area as well, and into other areas of BC additionally. But let us come back to you on the other question about water taxis and opportunities once a construction provider is in place.
Thank you. Directors, any additional questions? Director Hiltz?
Sure, I'll take another one. So your company is allocated $500 million in the fiscal 2023, is that? And so I'm just wondering what the total construction costs will be for the project, because I think you're looking at 2027 for operations, something like that. So kind of the biggest scope of what the project costs are.
I don't know that we're releasing that entirely at this time, because some of those costs are still being sorted out through the procurement processes. The $500 million is the budget for design, engineering, operations, pre-construction works and other activities over the course of the current fiscal year. By the time we would be able to present again on some of the issues that you'd raised previously, we'd have more precision around some of the numbers as those procurements are still actively in process.
Thank you. Any other questions? Director Beamish.
I just throw this out here only because I enjoy the hiking, but it would really be great if you could sponsor a West Howe Sound Trail that would connect Squamish to West Howe Sound. Just a little hiking path, 3 or 4 feet wide would be nice. And we can walk literally from West Vancouver to Squamish, but we can't walk on the other side of Howe Sound. So it'd be a nice, nice little connection. Long-term plan.
Well, like what I would say on that is, we're certainly open to opportunities for investment in recreational assets in the region. And so if someone wishes to propose that to us with some details and potential costs and an opportunity to sequence that over a few years of construction, we would certainly give it a good look. I appreciate you raising the concept. Others have certainly raised hiking trails and outdoor recreation opportunities, and appreciate the idea. Laura, is there anything else that you might want to add about other similar requests, or whether you've had anyone raise that directly previously?
Sure, absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Christine. Just to note, we do have our community partnership program open right now, and it is on our website. And we are always willing to look at expanding that regionally as well. So if that's something that a proposal would fit in that kind of program, we're happy to look at the idea. And also, any member of us here on the call today are happy to be contacted one-on-one if you have ideas for your community in ways to reach out to different stakeholders, look at recreational opportunities, and ways that we can enhance the community as well. So we can follow up and pass on our email addresses to everybody so we can be in contact, whether it's through business registry opportunities or recreational and community partnership programs.
Thank you. I was just going to say it would be nice if your names and your positions would be forwarded to us for that follow-up down the road. Really appreciate that. Any other questions? Director Hiltz.
Sure, I'll keep taking them. So you mentioned that the Squamish Nation is one of the environmental regulators, and this is a first in Canada, you're saying. So what is the significance of that, and what does it actually mean in the case of this project?
It means that our plans, as they impact the environment, are reviewed and evaluated by Squamish Nation teams, just as they are reviewed and evaluated by provincial government agencies and in some cases federal government agencies. It also means that the Squamish Nation and the Tsleil-Waututh as well in this particular part of it act as environmental monitors on the site too, to monitor and report back through their nations on each element of work as it's being carried out.
All right, any other questions, directors? All right, seeing none. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you for reaching out and presenting to us. And we welcome you back whenever you're ready to come and do a presentation. And if you forward us your contact information as indicated, if we hear something in the community, we can reach out to you as well. So thank you again for being here.
We will do that, absolutely. We'll follow up likely this afternoon with that information, and we appreciate you having us. I know these things are for information, but it's good to have a chance to get to know us, ask some questions, and raise ideas, such as the trails one. So staying open and engaged is important to us, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
All right, while our delegation leaves, we will move on to our reports. Committee of the Whole recommendations numbers 1 through 5 of May 12th. First, are there any that directors would like to see pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt or endorse the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole of May 12th. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Moving on to the Electoral Area Services Committee recommendations numbers 1 through 3 of May 19th. This is pages 21 and 22. Are there any recommendations that directors would like pulled for separate consideration? Director McMahon.
Sure. I would like to pull recommendation 3 on page 22.
Thank you. Recommendation 3. Any others, directors? All right, seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adopt recommendations 1 and 2. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And then recommendation 3 is before us for separate consideration. Director McMahon, did you want to speak to that?
Yes, mercifully briefly. The 2014 SCRD Recreation Master Plan identifies our community halls as being primarily for neighborhood-focused programming for residents who would be ideally within walking distance. Now we're building a destination event facility for the whole coast. That is a major departure in scale and scope and in policy, frankly, which we have not discussed.
All right, would anybody else like to speak to this? Director Pratt?
Thank you. The Half Moon Bay community Cooper's Green Hall replacement project is something that came about from the Cooper's Green management plan, and the hall replacement project it's been a project that's been in the works for a number of years, and actually it was one of the first things that we approved as this board in 2018 as going forward. I do support this project going forward, as I have before. I know there are concerns around the construction budget. I'm not going to, all of us have concerns around the construction budget, but I still believe in this project going forward, and I think that's really all I have to say right now.
Thank you. Director Ties?
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe give the municipal directors a chance to have their say, because they are voting on this at board here. So I feel like the electoral area directors have had their say, and I don't want to go on for too much further, but I'd like to hear the thoughts of the municipal directors. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Beamish?
Yes, I did have the opportunity to sit in for most of the presentation at the last meeting and understand some of the issues around it. I guess my biggest concern is that it's almost one of let's build it bigger, and the next one's going to be bigger again. And because there's going to be, we've got that one over there. We've seen it happen with other facilities on the Sunshine Coast. And I think $4 million for a plus for a community hall is too much. I think we all know that given today's construction environment, that is not going to be the final number. Everything is going up. We see this in our own projects with the SCRD and with the town of Gibsons. The budgets that we set, we cannot hold to. Projects are being set behind because of that. We're seeing that all over in construction, that the costs are escalating. I do support community halls. I think that it's great that every community has one. The town of Gibsons relies on the Lions Hall as a small hall, but we also have other facilities in the community that are commercial facilities, and we rent those in competition to other things. I support a referendum approach for this kind of expenditure. I think we have the issue of encumbering the regional district relative to our other borrowing power going forward in the future. And although that may not be significant today, we don't know what's going to come tomorrow. And I'm not sure, has the archaeological been done on this? Because one thing we are finding is that is a major challenge to getting projects done. We have a significant project right now held up in Gibson's because of the archaeological. It's set it back a year so far, and it's still not on the drawing board. And so I'm concerned about it. I think that going bigger is not necessarily better. And I think that $4 million this year, the next one that comes up and say, hey, there's another community is going to look over the shoulder and say, well, the SCRD supported this, why won't they support this? And we become one of economy of scale. So I am opposed to spending this amount of money on a community hall for a neighborhood facility. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other directors? All right, I'll speak. Okay, go, Councilor Director Toth. Go ahead, and then I'll speak after you.
Sorry, I was finding my hand button issues. I support this hall. My family does have heritage in the Half Moon Bay area. They really, other than Cooper's Green, there really is no other facility. The school, sure. Is it expensive? Yes. It is a great ton of money, and it would have been a lot cheaper, like everything, if it had been done 10 years ago, but it wasn't. But I don't think that means that the community of Half Moon Bay should have to miss out. I'm hoping that the community comes together and raises more money than they could have possibly imagined. I know that I've given my share already. I wish I was in a position to give more, but I do support this moving forward, even though I'm not subject to taxation to support it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have somebody else who's got control of the mics and can turn things off. It's awesome. Until the last meeting, when it was pointed out that coming to board, if this was pulled as a municipal director, I would need to vote on this. I really saw this as more as a rural director issue to sort out among the rural directors. Yes, it is an issue, it does impact the Sunshine Coast as a whole, and keeping my eye on that, but I really did see it as, I didn't really have a say in it, and so while I thought about it, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it. So then when I found out that I was going to need to vote on this at the Regional District Board when it came up today, if it was pulled, as I anticipated it would, I actually talked with staff about a number of the concerns I had about things like operational, the boat ramp, the parking, etc. So that, and then I also reached out to a couple of the directors and the electoral area directors and talked to them about how they viewed it. And at this point, the reason that we as municipal directors are voting on it is we are voting on whether or not the regional district can actually take on this debt and be fiscally responsible and financially responsible for the debt that's being incurred. It has nothing to do with all of the other pieces that I had all wrapped up in it. So I'm comfortable with the strength of the regional district. We have amazing staff. We have great community support. So I will be voting in favor of this recommendation. I wasn't there a few days ago, I'll tell you. I did a lot of thinking. I had to thank staff and the other directors for the conversations. All right, any other directors? Director Pratt.
Well, I will move that the board endorse recommendation number 3.
Is there a seconder for the recommendation? Seconded? All right. Any final comments? One of the questions that has come up, before we vote on this, one of the questions that has come up is, Let me find the question. Hold on, I buried it. Here we go. When will this come back in front of the board again? Should this be approved at this point? When would it come back in front of the board again? Ms. Gagnon, our GM of Community Services, over to you.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you for the question. So if this recommendation moves forward, we would move forward with construction drawings and tendering the construction project, at which time it would come back to the board for a final award as per our policy. We anticipate that happening sometime in the late fall is what we're thinking, depending on if things keep moving smoothly. We also will be back in front of the board. The timing is yet not confirmed, but we will need to come back in front of the board to talk about the operating plan. And lastly, we'll be back in front of the board, and I'm anticipating that being through our budget deliberations from 2023 to discuss the site specific planning that's being done on site flow, circulation, traffic, parking, and the boat ramp. Thank you.
Thank you. Director McMahon.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I would have preferred to see this go to referendum because I don't feel that the voters in the areas outside of Half Moon Bay are aware that they are being committed to this additional debt. So I don't think it's a great process. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Ties.
I'll echo that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a recommendation on the floor. The voting will be Gibson's 3, Seashell 6, so that'd be 3 for each of the directors, and electoral area A2, B2, D2, E2, and F2. I have that correct? Yes, corporate officers nodding. All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? And would you like that recorded? Yes, please. Okay, so Director McMahon, Beamish, and Ties opposed. That is carried. All right, that is the end of those recommendations. We're moving on to item 5A, which is the added recommendation from today on page 22A. This is the one that came to us from the Committee of the Whole meeting this morning. So I'd look for someone to move the recommendation as presented. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Moving on to item 6, placement of notice on title Annex E, pages 23 through 24. And we'll turn over to our chief building official. Is he here with us? No, who is going to speak to this one? Yeah, we can recess for 1 minute. Yes, we can. Thank you.
I just had a question.
Thank you. And we're moving on to item number 6, Annex E, pages 23 through 24. And we'll look over to staff to present.
Thank you, Chair. Section 57(1) of the Community Charter authorizes a notice to be registered against the land title where a building official considers a condition pertaining to building contravenes a regional district bylaw. The subject property noted in the report is in contravention due to not having a valid building permit, nor a final approval of the previous permits issued for the construction of a single-family dwelling. Staff recommend that notice is registered on title at the land title office against the above noted property.
Thank you. Directors, any questions or comments? Just for your information, before we move forward on that, I was notified just prior to the meeting that the property owner has been notified, has been served, and indicated they did not want to be at the meeting. So just let you know that.
Yep.
All right, Director Hiltz.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks for the report. My only question is, this property is on Keats Island, Gordon Road, that's in Eastbourne. Does it present any difficulties or challenges to place an on title and communicating with people on the island as opposed to something on the mainland, in terms of making a decision to place notice on title? Does geography have a complicating issue?
Not in my opinion, no.
Okay.
No, it's just as any other property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, there is a suggested recommendation on page 23. What would the board like to do? Director Hiltz.
Sure, Chair. I'll move the recommendation as presented on page 23.
And that's been seconded. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the Office of the CAO monthly report, and this is a verbal report. Mr. McKinley, over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. Lots going on right now. First week of May was North American Occupational Safety and Health Week, and had a lot of great events held for staff, including fire extinguisher training and our annual Safety Jeopardy game. That was hosted by Senior Manager Parker, did a great job, and a big thanks to everyone involved in organizing all of the events for NAOSH Week, particularly our Health and Safety Coordinator, Rondi Shanks. From May 13th to 15th, I had an opportunity to participate with several of our fire chiefs in Kamloops in the Effective Fire Service Administration Program. It's a local government management association program. I got to attend with Protective Services Manager Matt Trite, Gibson's Deputy Chief Richard White, Roberts Creek Chief Pat Higgins, Half Moon Bay Chief Ryan Daly, and Egmont Deputy Chief and currently Acting Chief Alicia Musaji. And it was a really good, valuable learning experience for us. Chaster House is back. A big thank you to park staff who worked tirelessly to get Chaster House Community Hall and Chaster Park reopened. The house was closed after the major floods we had in November, and since then a lot of work has been done to ensure it's safe again for public use, so thank you very much. Very recently I had an opportunity to meet with the Elphinstone Community Association as a guest speaker. I got an opportunity to speak about stormwater management, bylaw enforcement, parks and recreation, and a variety of other topics. Big thanks to Director McMahon and to Lucy McKiernan at the Elphinstone Community Association. I was told I was in for a rough ride, but they were actually really gentle and nice. And please remember I said that next time I come. Just last evening, we had a great event held as part of our water strategy. Our Strategic Initiatives Division, led by Mia Edbrook, along with staff Alana Whitman, Jackie Arcaro, and Sierra Rempel, did excellent work in putting together an event that was hugely informative for our community. The water strategy, of course, is just one of a couple of public engagement projects that we're working on right now. Yesterday, our recreation team launched a survey which will help guide recreation programming for the future, and in the coming week, we'll be issuing lots of information to our community in relation to changes to our main zoning bylaw, Bylaw 310. Just this morning, we were up at the Seashell landfill for the official reopening to the public drop-off area. I'd like to recognize how much work has gone into this project. The area looks great. Congratulations to all our staff involved and in the construction of the project. And I have to say, our landfill staff have had to endure a lot of change up there, as has our community. The staff have helped guide the community through the changes, which have spanned 3 variations of drop-off area in the last year. And finally, this week, A big push of information out from our solid waste division on new waste disposal regulations to help prolong the life of our landfill is coming. If members of the community watching this are looking for any further information, check out our website or engagement page at letstalk.scrd.ca. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Directors, any questions for our CAO? Director Hiltz.
Thanks. Kamloops, wildfire central there. So was wildfire kind of talked about at this conference? Is there anything that people were thinking about?
Not specifically wildfire, I'd say. We spent a lot of time talking about risk management on a number of factors, wildfire being one, but recognizing probably that a lot of the emergency deployments and emergency operations center deployments, especially over the last 2 years, in many communities were related to things other than wildfire. Wildfire, in fact, in some ways is the one we're used to deploying the emergency operations centers for. The incident command structure is well understood for wildfire management. When wildfires occur, there's a ton of experts that are basically champing at the bit, just waiting for the opportunity to go do what they love to do the most. But some of these more recent events have been more complicated when we start to look at these heat domes and flooding. And for a lot of communities, flooding is as common as fire, but in many communities it's new, especially when it occurs sort of out of sequence. So we did spend a bit of time talking about how we mitigate and manage and assess different levels of risk from different types of potential emergency factors.
A meeting I was on sometime this week with the provincial, with EMBC and Minister Conroy and Minister Cullen. Minister Conroy indicated she's now Minister of Forests. And she indicated that they are transitioning to a year-round BC wildfire service. We haven't had that in the past. They've committed money to that. And I think they did talk about it a little bit. They mentioned that they talked about it in Kamloops, but I mean, I wasn't there. So that is something, because they recognize that it's becoming, we need to do more about prevention as well. And we can't just have to react to it. So they're looking at putting money behind that and having that go forward. So we'll be hearing more about that probably over this next year. Any other questions for our CAO? Seeing none, let's move on to communications. There is a letter attached here from Deacon Kenan McKenzie with regards to the virtual food bank drive that is going on right now. Pages 25 and 26. Looking for some contribution from the SCRD and to get the information out to the wider community about the food bank drive. Director Beamish.
If I could just speak to that and let you know what Gibson's has done. We actually contributed both to the Salvation Army and St. Hilda's for the food bank. I personally donated as well, but I think one thing that's been kind of caught up this year has also been the, I wouldn't say competing fundraising, but the concurrent fundraising for the war in Europe right now, and that has caused some shifting, I think, of donations. We held an event in Gibson's. I emceed an event in Gibson's, and we did great. We raised $6,500 for that. We might have had a similar event for the food bank and raised $6,500, but that didn't happen this year. So I think that the challenge is there. Our food banks need support. We can't forget it because other things are happening. If there's a way that of providing funding for the from various sources, I'd certainly support that.
Thank you. Director McMahon?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we could ask staff to put something about the food bank fundraising drive in our next newsletter, SCRD newsletter.
I don't see our communications manager here, so perhaps we could have staff take that on. All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments about that? All right, next item of communication is from Jenny Wright, Aquarium Curator, Nicholas Sontag, and this is regarding, or requesting a letter of support. And did anybody want to speak to this? Director Beamish?
Chair, I just move the letter of support.
Is there a seconder? Seconded for that? All right. All those in favor of providing a letter of support? Thank you. Then we have a bylaw in front of us. Sunshine Coast Regional District Election Procedures Bylaw number 737-2022. And this is before us for first, second, and third reading. Anne, over to our corporate officer.
Thank you, Chair. So we are bringing forward a new elections procedure bylaw to incorporate our use of automated voting machines this year, and also to update the legislative changes with respect to voting by mail.
Yeah, Director McMahon?
Sorry, too many buttons. I was just, from the public standpoint of going out and voting this year, what has changed since 2018? Could you just very briefly tell us?
Sure. So with respect to mail ballot voting, in the previous election, it was restricted to people who were away, physically away from the regional district, or who were ill and unable to attend a voting location. And since then, the province has broadened the legislation so that now anybody who would like to vote by mail can apply for and request a mail ballot.
So clarification, that was a regional district restriction, was it not? It was not a provincial restriction that they had to be away or be sick.
It applied to, definitely to regional districts. I'm not sure what I think the mail ballot voting rules would have been different for the province for sure. And I can't really speak to the municipalities either, but that was definitely a restriction in our bylaw in previous years.
Okay, and then the other piece you talked about was?
So new this year, we have automated voting tabulators. So instead of a manual count of ballots, we will be feeding machines with our ballots, which requires us to incorporate their use and their procedure within our elections procedures bylaw. There will be further public education on the use of those machines. So we do have a communications campaign that we will be doing so that our electors are aware. And perhaps if we get them early enough, we may have something here. If people come by the regional district office, if they're curious, we'll be available to talk to people about that. But I will note that the district of Seashell and the town of Gibsons have used them in previous elections. So they're not completely foreign to the Sunshine Coast.
That's similar to one of those multiple choice fill-in sheets you used to get at school.
Correct. Fill
them in and then they'd feed them through a machine and, okay, perfect. Director McMahon.
So does that mean we'll get super fast results?
Ideally, that is the plan.
All right, any other questions? Director Hiltz?
Yeah, on the super fast, so the mail-in ballot, the time, in the procedure, it's in there about how the count has arrived and when the declaration is made. So the timing issues between those, and it's going to take some time to get all the mail-in ballots. So at what point would the official notice of come out?
So the procedure written in the bylaw, our cutoff time to receive applications for mail ballots will be 2 days before general voting day. We will accept them up until 8 p.m. at the close of voting on general voting day. We will also incorporate a procedure for, and the scrutineers will be notified. So at the regional district office, 2 days before voting, we will open the certification envelopes and feed the machines the mail ballots so that we're ahead of that. And then come election day, we will wait till the close of voting to feed those ballots at the end of that day. So it's really difficult to predict how many mail ballots we'll get. We really have no idea how many people are going to exercise that opportunity. So in that case, it was advised to build in a procedure similar to how we would count advance votes with the mail ballots. So we won't have the result, but we will have the ballots fed into the tabulators, and a press of the button at 8 p.m. Will give us the results.
Yeah, follow up.
Yeah, that anyone can do a mail-in ballot, it could be a real game changer for how people vote. So is there going to be any outreach into publicize this change?
Oh, yes,
Def-
absolutely.
oh.
There will be extensive communication.
Right. Okay, thank you.
I think the difficulty for staff is that until nominations close, they don't actually know who is on the ballot. And then only at that time can they then go and print the ballots. So it's a short turnaround time for everybody. You know, getting the ballots printed and then also getting them out to people to be able to get them back within 2 days prior to the election.
Correct. So nominations would close September 9th. If we have nominations in every area, if we don't have to extend our nomination period, then we would notify the printer. Typically, we would wait 2 weeks almost to get our ballots. So it's a very tight turnaround, but we'll start receiving applications prior to that. So we'll have a good idea of the volume that we will have to manage. And then once the ballots arrive, the full team is on it.
Thank you. Director Toth.
Thank you, Chair. Just looking at that application procedure on page 31 in the agenda package, the fact that you have until 2 days before general voting day to request a mail-in ballot, I can't see that working with the postal system taking the time that it does to actually turn ballots around. So is that giving people, I'll say false hope, but that's not really the word I'm looking for, but yeah.
So what we'll include in the application is, so those are the timelines we'll provide people, but we will also, and we've talked to Canada Post as well, we'll recommend people like physically come here with their mail ballots to drop them off. At a certain point, we cannot guarantee we receive them by mail.
Thank you. Director McMahon.
You got me curious from something that you said. So heaven forfend this should happen, but what happens if nobody runs in an electoral area?
So the nomination period would be extended, and then we hope somebody steps forward. And if not, eventually the province would step in and appoint somebody if nobody stepped forward.
Director McMahon, did you have any further questions? All right, any other questions? All right, so we have a bylaw in front of us. We are looking for first, second, and third reading. This is voting all directors, 1 vote each. So Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 737, a bylaw to provide for the determination of various procedures for the conduct of local government elections and other voting, and I'd look for someone to move first reading. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 737, a bylaw to provide for the determination of various procedures for the conduct of local government elections and other voting, and someone to move second reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. And Sunshine Coast Regional District Bylaw number 737, a bylaw to provide for the determination of various procedures for the conduct of local government elections and other voting, and someone to move third reading. Moved, seconded, all in favor. Thank you. Thank you, staff, for that. We are going to move on to director's reports. So we'll start at this end of the table with Director Hiltz and move our way down, and then we'll, if Director Ties comes back before we're done, we will go to him. Director Hiltz, over to you.
Thanks, Chair. Where am I going to start? I'm going to start with POMO. The Ports Monitoring Committee that was met this week, recently. It's the first one in a while, and just thanks to staff for putting it together, and it was a hybrid meeting. And it's an interesting committee because it's about giving staff feedback, and they're not really advising. So all of the port monitoring people, I think, find this a very successful model for providing the service to the port. So just thanks for that. We had the last WASAC meeting of the 2-year term. And then there is the Islands Trust Protocol meeting, which again was in this virtual format, and I have found them very useful and informative, and for building the relationships between the Islands Trust and the SCRD, I found it was very useful, and I hope to see those continue in the next term. Yes. What else? On the constituency front, there's just been a few phone calls on the Church Road, and mostly it's been directing people to existing resources and which staff to contact with the operational concerns. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Director McMahon.
Director Hiltz is always talking about levels of service, you know, and how much level of service will we provide as a regional district director. I will say that my level of service does not usually extend to going out and sweeping the streets. However, TRAC had a work party that started from Pratt and Chester on May the 19th, I think it was last Friday. And so I went out there with my broom and my shovel and joined close to 20 people. And I think we did a great job, and big thank you to TRAC for organizing that. And evidently, you know, it's in the air because another member of my community is organizing a ditch cleanup. So now I guess my level of service extends to cleaning ditches as well, but that will be on Saturday, June the 11th, and any other directors who want to join me are welcome to come. I believe SCRD Parks are providing us with grabber poles so that I don't have people climbing down into ditches, which I really don't want to see. I dropped into the water engagement at Seaside Center yesterday. I took a miss on going to the dump at 8 in the morning. We had a good meeting with the Affordable Housing Society yesterday afternoon, and I think some good issues and possible ways forward in advocacy for allowing municipalities and regional districts to enact empty home taxes. And what's the other one? Vacancy and speculation, that's it, thanks. So they're looking into it. I think it's going to be a big issue at UBCM too, because we really, truly have a housing crisis on our hands. Tomorrow at 11 a.m. is the BC chapter meeting of Climate Caucus. I'm in the BC chapter, and we'll be talking about the Clean BC program, and there'll be a presentation on the UBCM Strategic Priorities Fund, which provides 100% grant funding for local government capacity building projects. So these calls are for all electeds. If anybody wants directions to tune in on this call tomorrow, I'm happy to send them to you. I am delighted to have signed up for the Talking Trees tour on Sunday out in Area B, I believe we are, and the Community Forest is organizing that for us. And I have also signed up for a Climate Leaders Conference at UBC from June the 8th to the 10th. So my alternate, Lucy McKiernan, will be sitting in for Committee of the Whole and Board. I don't know what this conference is going to be like. I usually find that, you know, folks come up with great projects for us to do, none of which can be done by regional districts. But what the heck? Let's give it a whirl and see if I learn anything or make some new critical contacts. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Director Lee.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and keep this short. On May 13th, I attended the Pender Harbor Living Heritage Society AGM. They did it with a Zoom meeting, but they had it set up so each person did their report, and it was very well run. And they're quite a successful society, and they had a full complement of directors by the time they finished their meeting. So I thought that was awesome. I did get up very early this morning so I could get to Seashell at 8 o'clock for the opening of the Seashell Community Drop-Off Center. I must say it looks like a slightly bigger version of Pender Harbor Transfer Station. So it was nice to see most of the sinkholes gone.
We don't use that word.
Oh, sorry.
Voids.
Voids. But they did leave one roped off so we could look at them to see what they look like. It's pretty awesome. I couldn't talk anybody into going and jumping on it, though, see if it would go further down. And then attended May Day in Madeira this last Saturday. It was a great event. Boy, there was lots of people everywhere. Nick and Patrick both attended and made funding announcements. And you would have loved to see Nick in the parade on his bike all dressed up. It was really good. And he could sure ride that bike, I tell you. And the other thing was quite interesting was the rotary dunk tank. It was very popular, everybody standing around. And one of the RCMP fellas took a turn, and a good sport, and that was interesting. And what I was quite amazed at is the high school students. They got a couple of their high school students on the dunk tank, and they're quite popular with the other people to knock them into the water. But they were really good sports. It was really nice to see. And it just, I didn't know there was that many young people on the peninsula. They were everywhere. I really enjoyed it. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Pratt.
Director Lee, you didn't volunteer for the dunk tank?
I'm too old, I could drown.
So let's see, a couple of things have gone on this week. On Sunday, the Half Moon Bay Community Association had their Rod and Trail run at Connor Park. And this is the first time they've done this event. And so it was old cars and then a 2K trail race and an 8K trail race for families. Really beautiful, beautiful weather, well-attended event. It was a lot of fun. I went there for a bit and was able to, chat and talk with a few, and just really great to see everybody out. Great music, and that was fantastic. Earlier I guess last week, spoke with Half Moon Bay Community Association is looking at instituting a committee through the Community Association for the purpose of OCP review. So we had a chat about that, and they're doing their due diligence with staff and some research with what Warbucks Creek is doing, and looking forward at doing something like that as we're bringing more education about the official community plan. I was also at the Affordable Housing Committee meeting. Was that just yesterday? Oh, it seems like a long time ago, but that's what 8 a.m. meetings and ribbon cuttings do for you. It was a really good conversation about different avenues, and they'll be touching back with us on some advocacy avenues that we can look at as elected officials. And then looking also at a couple of other ways of communicating back with the real estate committee or community on the Sunshine Coast too, because there needs to be some more tie-in there, because with that as my other hat, there's some really good synergies that we can work on there. The landfill tour this morning we must have like the prettiest landfill anywhere. The beautiful view and the way it's all set up, but it's a fantastic site. So if you haven't been up there, I encourage you to go up there and just see it. It's definitely, it's one thing I will say, and then I said this to Chair Seegers as we were driving up here after, it's definitely something that every elected official at the regional district, that should be part of their orientation, is within that first month is going up and visiting the landfill and having a tour and speaking with staff, because it's such a key thing. And I guess overall, when you're looking at any kind of orientation for the newly elected, and so putting that out into the public, and for anybody else that's thinking about running or running again, is really understand the facilities and the services that we provide, and ask the questions. We have such amazing staff, and you know, being able to talk with them and find out what their jobs are, and the pride and workmanship that they have for whatever they're doing. And it's just, we have such amazing facilities and just so many things that are going on the coast, and it's so important that as an elected, that you understand and you meet and you see what we're actually doing at the ground. Looking forward to the Talking Trees tour on Sunday this week. And then I wanted to just flag Ferry Advisory Committee. There's a bunch of changes that keep on coming from BC Ferries, and the Ferry Advisory Committee is finding out about them the same time as the press release is getting sent to the public. So we keep pushing back on that. We are not happy about that. So just from your representative at the FAC side, it's really kind of disappointing. We're getting all of this information probably the same time as everyone else is. We're not getting asked on anything anymore. It really feels like it's just, nope, this is what we're doing. And so please, if you have any comment, concerns, Ferry Advisory Committee way, or let me know. We'll take them to the committee, but I'm so worried that so much of, it's just falling on deaf ears right now. So, and not understanding what we need for services here on the Sunshine Coast it's dismal. So, and it's going, yeah, so I'll just leave it there. And I'll maybe rant on Facebook later, I don't know.
I have a question for you about the BC Ferries. So what are they changing the times of the sailings? What's actually changing?
Well, the last thing was okay, so I'll use that extension in they had to change the service level, I think for, what was it, for the month of February? And then they told us, like we got an email probably after it had already been a press release, and then when they had to extend it, they did tell us before they had to extend it, or vice versa. It's that kind of thing. Any change in the schedule or anything like that, they're not telling us about. And they are saying that they're informing BC Transit, as another example, but it's like, okay, well, if they're informing BC Transit, are they actually informing Sunshine Coast Transit? And then, of course, anything that happens on our route, Route 3, affects Route 7. Which goes up to Powell River, and they're not getting informed or brought into the conversation. We're bringing them into our FAC chair, Diana Mumford, is bringing them into the conversation, making sure that they're at all of our meetings so that they know what's going on. But there's just the communication piece. It's not happening, and there's definitely not any consultation right now. So there's lots of little things, and it's just, we don't find out about anything, so.
All right. I mean, I think most of us probably have been impacted by the issues with the ferries. Mm-hmm. Director Toth?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on that, they are extending the time between sailings. That sailing that used to be 10:50 or 10:55 is now 11:30, leaving Horseshoe Bay. Mm. So you're not even going to land in Langdale till 12:15.
All right. Director Beamish.
Thank you, Chair. A few things happening down our end of the coast. Well number 6, which is on Ocean Mount, we'll get construction will start on that early June, and the redesign of the well house is being completed. So we're looking forward to getting that on. That'll just add us some capacity and backup on the water system. We are signing onto a letter of support for a watershed security initiative by the BC Watershed Coalition. I copied that to our CAO and to yourself, and encourage you also to sign on to that. Again, expressing the importance of watersheds and the importance of looking after that area. And on June the 7th, we will be getting an Aquifer update report presentation at our committee of the whole from Waterline. And they're the ones, the consultant that does our Aquifer studies. So they'll be updating that for us. I believe the news is all good on that front, but it also going to talk strongly about the interrelationship between the SCRD and the town of Gibsons and the reliance on the Elphinstone watershed above the town there, sort of thing, and the importance of that watershed. So Manny is going to send a copy of the presentation out ahead of time, so you'll see that. We had a council workshop this week on a development proposal, which I think was very enlightening and helpful to council. That proposal will come back at also on June the 7th, and we'll be talking about that. And last night we had a public art committee meeting. For the Ice-T Thrive grant, we got $50,000 from Ice-T. We've approved five projects to go ahead, and we'll be announcing those with a media release this coming week and to the artists. And they will be the first 5 art projects that will go on to our trail system. And hopefully that the town will have an opinion. I'm sure that's what art's all about. And council has graciously stayed out of the selection process. And so that it will be an interesting, and we're hoping now, in fact, last night we were very encouraged because we had an artist come to council who has been engaged by one of the developers to do another art piece, which will tie in with what we are doing. And that's what we're trying to do, is both have initiatives from the town side on these art pieces, as well as developers do them as community amenities within their projects. And so this was another a 5-piece installation that will go in Parkland area, put there by the developer of Parkland. So we had a good chat with the artist about that. And our big concern is, it's nice to receive these donations. Our committee has to look at it from the perspective of maintainability. Okay, we received this, thank you, it'll go on town land, thank you. Who's going to look after it? What are the challenges with it? So so those are the kind of things that we look at from a committee perspective. So looking forward to seeing that move ahead before I leave. So it'll be good. So thank you.
Thank you. So Director Tighe just joined us, so I'll just tell you where we are. Director Tighe, we're going to have Director Toth do his director's report, and then we'll come to you for yours. So Director Toth. And Director Beamish, could you turn off your microphone, please? Thank you.
Can't see that red there.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to keep it short. Some stuff going on in Seashell. Last council meeting, we had the contract award for lighting upgrades at the airport come forward. Finally had a proposal that was within budget and compliant and all that, so that's moving forward. I think they were talking about trying to have it done by sometime in August, but we'll see how that goes. We had a housing agreement and development permit for the 28 rental units on Ebtide come forward. So the development permit was approved, and the housing agreement bylaw had 3 readings, so it still has to be adopted. The Kinnickinnick sports fields no longer allow for off-leash dogs. They've been shredded over the last couple of years between the weather issues and dogs and people getting on there with vehicles and stuff like that. So we've got the Ebtide Dog Park is functional. I drove by it yesterday. The gates are there and up, and people are in there using it. So it's not ideal for everyone, for sure. But for now, off-leash dogs are no longer allowed at Kinnickinnick sports fields. We have asked staff to look and see if there's any opportunity to try and acquire some land adjacent to the park for a larger dog run in the future. And then Wharf Avenue is full steam ahead. It is behind schedule due to some archaeology permitting issues. But staff, and the contractor are hoping to have it completed by the 3rd week of June. So a little bit into the summer season, but hopefully not too far into the summer traffic issues. So that's it for me today. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Tighe.
Thank you, and this will be an easy one. I don't really have anything to report this week, this time around, so I'll just let us move along. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I have just a few things to mention. District of Seashell finally did our long service awards in person. We haven't done them since 2018, so we celebrated 2019, 20, and 21. We had 26 people that we gave long service awards to, anywhere from 5 years, and we actually had, I think it was 3 at 25 years and 1 at 30 years with District of Seashell, so that was pretty cool. I attended an Airport Development Select Committee meeting last night. Director Toth was there as well. And this was to start moving forward the airport master plan. So there is industrial land at the airport, industrial, commercial, aviation land at the airport. And we don't have the staff at the District of Seashell who have expertise in this. And we want to make sure that it provides the best economic development potential for the Sunshine Coast. So we did put aside money in our budget for the master plan. So I believe it'll be coming to council next week to put out an RFP for that. Lots of engagement going on right now. Zoning bylaw in Seashell. In fact, there's an open house right now happening at the Seaside Center until 6 p.m. So if you want to see what Seashell's doing, if you don't have enough of zoning bylaws with the regional district, you can come and check out Seashell's as well. SCRD water engagement, attended that. Then there are, Go by Bike Week is next week. And we're also doing, coming up in the next couple weeks is Pride Month. So get your tickle trunk ready. One of the things I wanted to bring up here that we haven't talked about in this meeting is around graduations. So they are coming up, and I have dates, and I think these have been mailed or emailed to all the directors. Director Lee has indicated he would like to go to Pender Harbor for June 21st. Other directors, there's one for the alternate school on the 20th of June, Chattelich the 21st, and Elphinstone the 22nd. Any directors want to put their names forward tonight, or we'll need to notify them at some point as to who's coming. We could do that next week, or next board meeting, if you like.
I can do Chattelich on the 21st.
21st, okay. Okay, does anybody else want to step up for any of the others at this point, or do you want me to bring that back? Yeah?
I haven't done Elphinstone, so I'll tentatively put in there. I haven't checked my schedule, but that's the 22nd?
22nd.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'm already doing the alternate school.
Yeah, I'm doing alternate in Chattelich already. Yes, so alternate school and, but that's the only one. Would anybody like to attend the alternate school?
I just want to say that I'm not volunteering, not because I'm not interested in doing it, but because I don't know that I'm in town.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, I would love to do it if I'm in town, but I don't know that I'm going to be in town, so.
All right, and I'll be at the alternate one as well, and so will, Director Beamish, so we could represent the SCRD there as well.
Councilor Crowell's going to do the Elphinstone as well.
Okay, Councilor Crowell at the Elphinstone, okay. So, all right, so I've got that, and so we'll make sure that staff have that and make sure you have particulars and details for moving that forward. Any other items that anybody has missed in their director's report? All right, we will move on. There is a recommendation that we go in camera and that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with section 91A, F, I, and K of the Community Charter. Like motion to that effect, moved, seconded, all in favor? And then we have alternate director McKiernan here with us, and she would like to get the full experience of what it's like being at the regional district. So I would like a motion to allow her to attend the in-camera. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you. All right, any questions from the gallery? That's Donna? Donna, do you have any questions?
Not a lot. I'm very happy with the way things are going. There's a lot of moving and shaking going on all through SCRD and committees. I'm hearing a lot about it, and I'm getting very hopeful for the future, and I want to keep it that way because we are going to have to work awfully hard to make things work. But that's my comments. I'm pleased with almost everything that we're doing in government, even though it's a good place for people to complain. It's a real necessary. What else are we going to do?
All right. Thank you, Donna. All right, I'm going to remove her. All right. Any directors need a 5-minute break before we go into this? We'll have to switch the doors and all those kinds of things anyway.
Might as well get a coffee.
All right.
It's a really short.
Thank you, and welcome back to the Ascension Coast Regional District Board meeting of Thursday, May 26th. And we're looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Thank you very much. Thank you, staff. Thank you.